Let us now look at subqueries. We have seen a join condition. In case of join condition, the retrieval happens at the same point of time. But in case of a subquery, there will be an inner query which gets executed and it fetches the result, and then the outer query executes. The inner query will be provided as the input to the outer query, and then the outer query execute based on the result provided by the inner query. So that's about the subqueries. The subqueries also find extensive use in the SQLs. So this is a kind of a condition. So determine all employees who were hired after Davis. So we need to know first when Davis was hired, the date on which he is hired, then whatever date folks have been recruited after that, then because say for example Davis is hired on Jan 10th 2021, if you know that, then you can have a condition stating that which is hire date greater than 10th Jan 2021. So the first one is to find out when Davis was hired. So that is the inner query or subquery, and then you'll have determine all the employees who had hired after Davis. So there are different types of subqueries, single row and multiple row. You need to be careful between the single row and multiple row, and that is where you need to use all or any operator. If you don't, generally a subquery which receives a multiple row, and if you're not using the appropriate operator, the main query will not be able to work through. It will throw an error. So in case of multiple rows, in that case, in the outer query, you need to have the appropriate conditions as all or any. If it is a single row, then you don't have a much challenge. Then you can use group columns or having clauses as well. So this is as far as a simple syntax of subquery. You have an inner query, and then you have the inner query fetches the results which will be a feeder to the outer query. Subquery executes before the main query, and the results of subquery is used by the main query. So that's about the functionality, how the subquery works to provide the desired result. So the example we saw is about Davis when he was hired. If it's just an example, if this is the date in which the database is reflecting this date, this is going to fetch this date, and this is fed into the outer query. So hire date greater than 29th Jan 05. So it will list out all the employees. So that's the syntax about the subqueries. So you have, as I said, single row subqueries returns multiple rows. It might return multiple. So in that case, you need to use all or any to the outer query. Otherwise, it is going to throw an error because it will not be able to choose which one to choose if you don't use the appropriate functional as and or any which is used for the in case of multiple rows, it will throw an error. So in case of single row, you'll be using the normal operators such as equal to, greater than, equal to, less than or equal to. All this are used in case of the executing a single row subquery. So here job ID, salary, greater than. So here it is going to fetch only one row, which is 8,600. If that is, again, this is just an example. And if it is a sales rep, it's going to give only the one job ID. So in that case, it should not be a problem because you have only one condition. Single row is being fetched. So the outer query can easily fit this in the var class and it can execute. So that's about a single row. And then you can use having also, having class, minimum salary, greater than. So it is going to retrieve all those because you have a min salary based on group by department. You can have a group by department having min salary. So since you have a group by, you can have an aggregate function as well, the min salary as well. And then moving on, this is what I said, multiple rows subqueries. Multiple rows, in that case, in equal to any number in the list. Any must be preceded by the operators, returns true, if at least one of the element exists in the result set for the subquery which is relation is true. One of them, there need to be any meaning, one of them should be there between that, and all meaning the relation is true for all element that is result of this subqueries. So you can refer this in any, all. Keep in mind, any is any one of the element, all is true for all element of the result. So here if you see select employee salary, where salary is any of this one, any of so here you have a less than operator, so it needs to have an operator. So less than anything, less than 9,000, 6,000 and 4,200, where job ID is IT programmers. So meaning is it selects the salary for IT programmer, but the salary need to be less than that of IT programmer, and job ID need not be IT programmer, anything apart from IT programmer. So you have the job ID, different job ID over here, that is ST clerk, and the salary could be any of this one. So that's where you find 2,500 which is less than this. You also have 4,400 which is of course will satisfy this condition, 6,000 and 9,000 because it is any, or even 8,600 because it is again if it compares with 9,000 this value is less. And then all, in that case it is less than all of them. It should not be less than this one, should not be less than 6,000, should be less than 4,200 also. So should be less than all the three. So that's where you find only values which are less than all three of them, whichever is returned. So that's about when it returns multiple rows, you need to use all, or you need to use in clause. In that case you don't use the operator. If you are using in clause, in that case if satisfies only this condition, that is 9,600, 6,000, 4,000, only if it satisfies that, then the in clause will work. So here it is, the in clause is here. So if it is in minimum salary department, then it displays. So any of them it is in that list, then it is going to retrieve that. So that's about the subqueries. We'll go through the hands-on. So the point to note here is single row subquery and multiple rows subquery. In case of multiple rows, because multiple rows are being used, you need to have any, or you need to use all, or you need to use in. So in case of in, it needs to be you can't use all this, you can't use these operator, logical operators, you need to just mention in. In case of any and all, it should be preceded with this operator. That is what you need to keep in mind as far as the multiple rows subqueries. Thank you. Stay tuned. Let us now get into the hands-on. Let's run these queries. So the first one is, we are checking what is the hire date of Davis, and then we are trying to find out all the employees who have joined after Davis. So let's have the query executed. So all of them have joined post Davis has joined. So naturally you will have an hire date which is passed on to from this inner query into the outer query. So particularly if you want to know, let's find out what is the hire date of Davis. You just need to execute this part alone. Let's execute. So it's on year 2018. So anything post that, you will have this from this list. So this date is being passed, and which is after 2018, the specific date of December 2nd is what is you are going to have. So you have all of this. So this date should be this date should be DD, MM and YY, because you have 21, it cannot be month, it should be date. So that way if you go, the first one should be the date. So this is the date. This is February of 18. So 12 February 18. So post that you'll get all the folks who have joined after that. So that's about the first part of the subquery. This is the second subquery. We are trying to get job ID and salary, and then salary greater than Taylor and job ID same job ID as of Taylor. So when you execute this, a single row, we get a single row subquery returns more row, which ideally means either this one or this one has returning more values. It's not a single job ID. So let's see. I mean, that's where is how you need to probably do a kind of debugging. So yeah, you have sales rep and there is also a SH clerk. When it passes the job ID, there are two job IDs. So that's where it is saying multiple rows. It has to be just only one row. So what you could do is ideally you could have last name and the first name as well. So if you look at the last name, let's see, last name, I think select last name from, or first name, we would say first name, it could be two names probably. So let's do that. So invalid first ist first name so invalid table name. Yeah, here it is. So Jonathan and Winston, the two names, first name is different but last name is same, which is Taylor. So probably you can have an AND clause in it and then run the query. So something like this, where you add the first name as well. Yeah, that case it provides you with the value because there is instead of two rows, you have only a single row being fetched. I mean for the job ID, because we have used an AND condition with the first name as Jonathan as well, then it returns only one row and you get it. The other way of solving is you use when there are multiple rows coming in, then you could use this operator, which should hopefully solve the problem. When you have two job IDs and here also you have maybe two different salaries, so salary in something, so you have three rows coming. So if you take the salary part alone and let's see what is the result. Yeah, it's 8,600 and 3,200. So only those which is going to get satisfied should be here. 3,000, 8,600 and 3,000. Or you could have something like greater than as well, all of them. You can have that as well, all, or any also you could have. So you get all which is above I think 8,600. So when it returns multiple rows, you got to use the in or all. When it is multiple rows are written, and then you need to ensure that you have make appropriate var class, change the var class, you get only a single row is fetched from the inner query and passed on to the outer query. Otherwise you need to have in or all or any of them, so that for each of them it calculates the outer query, the inner query is passed those value to the outer query using in and in, all, or any of them is used, which we have seen earlier as well. So that's about the subqueries. So you have it, this is how you need to learn it. You need to change the where clause condition and see how it works. So this is also available in the reference session, the notepad, so you can download and work through it. So work through it so that your understanding becomes better and better. Thank you.